The Russia hoax.
Russia was made up.
Russia wrong.
Russia.
I never worked for Russia, and you know that answer better than anybody. I never worked for Russia. Not only did I never work for Russia, I think it's a disgrace that you even asked that question.
4 years of that, but the president was wrong. It never should have been Russia. It should have been Obama all along. This story has gotten some attention over the past few days, but it's hard to follow, and we think that in many ways people have probably moved on, and we get that. But the basic accusation has not changed. In 2016, Democrats accused Donald Trump of colluding with Russia to win the election, which never really made much sense, did it? You're telling me that Donald Trump, a billionaire businessman best known for starring in The Celebrity Apprentice and The Apprentice and then hosting Miss America pageants, somehow convinced Vladimir Putin to help him get elected 10 years ago, and then Vladimir Putin decided to play along? Why would Vladimir Putin play along? Why would Vladimir Putin want Donald Trump to be president? How does that make any sense? But for 4 years, that is all we ever heard from Democrats in the legacy media, every single day.
No, Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The legacy media reporting that Russia hacked the election, and they reported this like it was a fact. And poof, RussiaGate was born. The problem, it was never true. And according to a trove of documents just released by Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, a former Obama voter, by the way, not only did Barack Obama know before the 2016 election that Russian interference would not impact the outcome of the election, they also knew it after the election. But Barack Obama never said a word. According to an intelligence assessment that came out on September the 12th, 2 months before Election Day, quote, foreign adversaries do not have the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks, and that the Obama administration manufactured intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election, despite information from the intelligence community stating the opposite. Well, isn't that interesting? We never heard about that in 2016, did we? Tulsi Gabbard tweeting over the weekend that these documents detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and usurp the president from fulfilling his mandate. And Barack Obama, the president of the United States, never said a word. Instead, he pushed the lie to sabotage the incoming president and hurt Donald Trump.
My hope is that the president-elect is going to similarly be concerned with making sure that we don't have potential foreign influence in our election process. I don't think any American wants that. And that shouldn't be a source of an argument. At a time when my primary concern was making sure that the integrity of the election process was not in any way damaged. At a time when anything that was said by me or anybody in the White House would immediately be seen through a partisan lens.
All he had to say is that Russia did not interfere in the election. And that's all wonderful, Barack. The problem, those comments came after the election, after Donald Trump had won, and after your own intelligence people concluded that Russia did not interfere in the election. You knew it then, you know it now. But Barack never said anything like that. If he had just come out right then and there, December 16th, 2016, and said there was no Russia, there was no Russian interference, that would have ended Russia forever. But instead, he pushed that fake narrative. That led to a 4-year effort to overthrow Donald Trump. On December 8th, 2016, 1 month to the day after the election, President Obama's daily brief contained a document that stated, quote, "We assess that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results." But Barack Obama never said that. He never said a word. And somehow the very next day, the Washington Post told the exact opposite story. Here's the first real Trump-Russia headline. Secret CIA assessment says Russia was trying to help Trump win the White House. And after that, it never stopped. For 4 years, Americans were told by their own government that Donald Trump was a Russian asset, that the former host of The Apprentice was working for Vladimir Putin as some kind of twisted double agent, and people believed this. And just weeks after that, on January 6, 14 days before Trump would take the oath of office, the Obama administration made it official. They released a 25-page report that stated, quote, "We assess with high confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. We further assess that Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump." And just like that, RussiaGate became policy. Let that sink in for a moment. A sitting American president essentially made up a story, invented a story about the incoming president to destroy his presidency before he took office. The only American president, by the way, who never left Washington after his term. Barack didn't want to give up power. Barack stayed in Washington. He's still in Washington. Barack Obama, the Wizard of Oz after all. He always has been. After that, Hillary Clinton said this for the next 4 years.
It's very clear that Russia succeeded. They believe that they were able to influence the minds and even the votes of Americans. So why would they stop? They really want to pursue their agenda of dividing us, undermining trust within our country, helping to elect someone who is favorable to their agenda.
All lies. In 2018, right in the middle of Donald Trump's first term, the New York Times and the Washington Post won the Pulitzer Prize for reporting on a fake story. Let that sink in. And even when the director of the FBI said this over and over and over again, Barack Obama still said nothing.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government.
So that was a hostile act by the Russian government against this country?
Yes, sir.
In that time frame, there were more than the DNC and the DCCC that were targets.
Correct. There was a massive effort to target government and non-governmental, near-governmental agencies like nonprofits.
All lies. And even then, Barack Obama never said anything. He knew it was a lie. He knew it was fake. He never tried to stop it. An American president deliberately trying to destroy another American president. Matt Taibbi, investigative journalist, tweeting, "The new documents released by Tulsi Gabbard leave no doubt, none, that the Barack Obama White House invented a phony espionage scandal to hang on the incoming Trump administration. The only question is, what kind of idiot thought this was a good idea?" Which is a very good question. It cost the American taxpayers over $40 million to investigate. $40 million to investigate a fake story. And the legacy media covered the fake story every day for 4 years, every single day. It was Russia, 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 when it should have been Obama, Obama, Obama. But today, tonight, when you scroll the CNN homepage, you can't find the story anywhere. We looked. They won't cover the real story. They'll only cover the lie. They won't cover the real story about Barack Obama, a two-term president who on his way out the door did everything in his power to destroy an incoming president. They indicted Donald Trump 4 times. They charged him with 91 felonies. They raided his house. They took his mugshot. Maybe it's time for payback.